Creation's Journey to Life, Day 49, The Quantum Flesh. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that consciousness is a product of the living flesh that acts like a quantum reality perceptual machine that measures and forms views and impressions as feelings based on the programmed knowledge into the flesh, leading to the knowledge being the measurement of values and integrity. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the mind only acts as a transfer point of knowledge and images into the body and impressions and thoughts from the body, which made it possible for the human to be controlled, as explained in documentaries like The Trap and The Century of the Self. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the first impression one gets when you meet someone is based on the knowledge and experiences you have allowed to be programmed into the flesh, and the impression is not formed by the mind, but is formed resonantly by the quantum flesh immediately. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the human is no more than what is programmed into the flesh as acceptances and allowances, and that when incorrect, inconsistent with physical reality concepts are programmed into the flesh, mental health dysfunction and inhumane personalities will form that consume the world and that compete for resources in a world of plenty, as the body will function like a faith machine that uses emotions and feelings to communicate through the mind. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the human is only as trustworthy as the information and knowledge the flesh is fed through sound, images, and experiences. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the mind has no power whatsoever and is only a tool which, when abused, will lead the physical body to be produced as an abusive expression that will live in fear and cause fear for survival, as that belief was programmed in as the prominent point of life on earth. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the human psyche as love is a convenient excuse programmed into the flesh to not have to take responsibility for real life on earth. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to not realize that intellect does not come from the mind, but from the body, and that this means that once the nature of the body programming is understood, equal intelligence will eventually be possible on earth for all, unless a physical problem exists that prevents this. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the knowledge about the human psyche has no substance and is just a machine that conveniently promotes consumerism and the control of the many by the few. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that parenting plays a major role in preparing the flesh as quantum machine for the life of the individual, and with correcting parenting to produce humans that are best for all life and best for self, will produce a world where life will be valued and experiences will be extraordinary, exceptional. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that television and movies will increasingly result in flesh copycats that will act out bizarre, abusive acts without being able to stop it, as the body became the total delusion that was allowed. I commit myself to show that the flesh is the real quantum machine that determines all facets of awareness, and that the mind is only the mirror where you can view through the thoughts and backchat if you have produced the living flesh as that which is best for all life, and that this is why self-honesty determines who will be life, because only a self-honest being as flesh will correct every thought that comes from the flesh to be what is best for all life. I commit myself to show that words and images as placed through the mind into the body determine the value of the flesh as living word, and that it is important that all words and value be the values as life and be equal as life in the flesh to produce a true divine living flesh being. I commit myself to show that experience is not a teacher unless it is used for self-correction of the flesh to be what is best for all life, and that such self-correction is the true measurement of integrity and self-honesty. I commit myself to show that dysfunctional mental health is actually dysfunctional storage of image and knowledge in the flesh that can be corrected through understanding what the role of the flesh is in the creation of consciousness. I commit myself to show that at the moment no human can be trusted with life as the human does not understand and grasp how the flesh is actually the real total quantum awareness of the human. I commit myself to show that the mind has no power and that mind power only developed as another consumer product, where the human feeds off the program of self-interest without any awareness that life as the living flesh is being abused just for producing feelings that act like a drug to which the personality and the flesh is addicted. I commit myself to show that all feelings of love are programmed into the flesh as an addictive force to keep the awareness docile, blind, and delusional in self-interest. I commit myself to show that the intelligence and ability of a person on earth can be changed through changing the programs of living words in the flesh, and that mediocrity can be changed into genius. I commit myself to show that all television, commercials, and religious program the flesh into obedient, addicted consumers that follow images and symbols as decision makers without any awareness at all. I commit myself to produce parents that will bring new life on earth that is worthy of life and optimized in potential. I commit myself to show through events in the world how the programming of television and movies will progressively make it more dangerous for everyone on earth, as more and more bizarre, bloody events of random killings and harm will take place. I commit myself to restore the flesh as a living word made flesh, as Jesus showed, till all that choose to be life as what is best for all life is life, in fact.